the silence of the lambs when they are gone. A bouillabaisse of cheeks and necks and arms. Look inside my pot, Clarice, and see a guy who looks a lot like Chef Boyardee.
Welcome to the Halloween Horror Pod, and this is going to be a bit of a grouchy episode. That's right, we're talking Oscars, specifically the horror at the Academy Awards. I'm your horror host, Ghost from the Upper Left Coast, and I'm in a room full of men in their 30s to 60s, and we have opinions.
Yeah.
Joining me from West Seattle is the youngest of our entourage, and I have a hunch you know who he is. Sam, how are you, and what's your favorite acceptance speech at an award show?
I'm doing pretty well today. I'm excited to talk about this. My favorite acceptance speech, we got to start with Billie Eilish's most recent one. I mean, got to give her a shout out. And then, I'm going to bring back Robin Williams. Love the guy.
Fantastic. Going a bit further north into the mountains that do terrace into lakes, he plays everyone's least favorite uncle at a holiday party, Van Vidal. It's Mike. Thanks for joining us. How are you, and what is your favorite Billy Crystal movie?
My favorite Billy Crystal movie is probably either Monsters, Inc. or the Western one whose name escapes me.
City
With
Slickers?
with Jack Palance doing the one-arm push-up.
Yeah, wow. City Slickers and City Slickers 2, definitely rentals that ended up at my house quite regularly for some reason.
Howl's Moving
And then
Castle, Billy Crystal shout out.
And then extending all the way into what I can assume is only 30 Days of Night this time of year. He's not a vampire, but he plays one on TV. It's George. How are you? And if you could slap anyone on stage at the Oscars, who would it be?
I'm doing pretty good. And if I could slap anyone, he wouldn't have a lot of reason to be at the Oscars, but I would choose Steven Tyler just because I want to see if anything on that face shakes if you hit it. And I don't think it will. I think it will all stay as plastic as a Ken doll.
That's a very interesting choice. I mean, he could have won Best Song for Armageddon.
I guess
That
he
would have
could
been
have. But
Yeah,
I won
okay.
Best Song for Armageddon, so again, Steven Tyler, I'll slap you. I don't know what I'm talking about. I have
All
nothing
right.
against the guy.
All right, and before we dive into the history of horror at the Oscars and a preview of Sunday night, this is coming out before the Oscars in 2026 to date our episode here a little bit. We wanted to remind you to take a moment to rate and review the show wherever you are listening to this podcast. This podcast is an extension of the television show The Halloween Horror Hour, which you can watch on Tubi, Plex, Roku, YouTube, SEC TV 28 if you're in Seattle, and you can also get exclusive bonus content, access to our Discord, and more by joining the Graveyard Gang over at Patreon. Links are all in the description. Now, with that out of the way, let's sink our fangs into Hollywood's most prestigious award show, the Academy Awards, or as the trophy is called, the Oscars.
Yes,
So,
Oscar
guys,
the Grouch.
Yes.
Actually,
exactly.
I have a slight aside before we get too much into it. Talking about Oscar speeches, the quintessential Oscar speech, you may have to look it up because I'm going to show my age here. 1974, David Niven was presenting at the Oscars when he had the most interesting Oscar speech ever because he had a streaker, a naked man, running across the stage behind him. Totally unplanned, but that's just the Oscar speech I will always remember.
And the best Oscar presentation is when Pee Wee Herman was attacked by the robot and had to be saved by RoboCop.
I don't think I've seen that one, no.
Now, Pee Wee Herman has to get carried up into the rafters while RoboCop saves him. I believe it was the 1982 or 84 Oscars. That is the best, the absolute best segment in all of Oscars history, in my opinion.
That's pretty incredible.
Which Oscars was it where Bill Paxton unzipped his skin and it turned out he actually was Bill Pullman as well? I want to say 97. We'll figure it out.
That would be pretty good. But to get us back to this year, this is a great year.
Oh, this is
for
a great year
horror.
for movies. Not just horror. I love the stack.
At the Academy Awards specifically, though.
Yeah, the stack
Yeah.
Best Picture nominees this year. I think it's a great list that we got.
So why are we, a horror and Halloween podcast, covering the Oscars this year? And that's because there is a lot of representation for horror movies at the Oscars. And that's not usually true. The horror movies usually get kind of snubbed when it comes to the Academy Awards, looked down upon. Horror movies that get elevated to the status of winning or even a nomination are often changed to thriller movies rather than continuing to be horror movies. And that's really the reason for the season here is we're going to talk about some of the history of the most famous snubs, the most amazing nominations, and some of the successes, and how their genre might have been changed so that they can fit the mold of the Oscars.
I mean, the five different performances from horror movies being nominated this year is huge, right? Kind of to your point, I just wanted to put a number to it. 5 is awesome.
Absolutely. And we'll dive
Definitely.
into each of those nominations a little bit more too. But I did want to start out by just kind of having a conversation around what is genre. You know, a lot of people are like, oh, that's not horror, like Jaws isn't a horror movie or Silence of the Lambs isn't a horror movie. And I was listening to an interview with Ryan Coogler, the director of Sinners, Black Panther, Fruitvale Station.
The man of the moment.
Yeah. And when Sinners came out, he was giving an interview with a different podcast, and he was talking about genre being the artistic equivalent of one drop or blood quantum rulings, which were racist rulings to define if people were Black or Native American in the United States. And he equated genre to, like, if it was Black music, it was blues, but if it was white music, it was pop. You know, and so this idea of genre was very closely related to racism and racist policies that were made to oppress BIPOC communities. So when talking about Sinners, it's like, yeah, it is a horror movie, but they market it as only a horror movie, but it is so much more. It is also like this story of the end of World War One. This is the story of, 1930s America. And just because it has like one element of horror, something gets labeled horror and then it's not as respected. And conversely, if something is well respected, then it's no longer a horror movie. It then gets the title thriller. How do y'all feel about this, Mike?
Well, the first thing that comes to mind really is a couple of movies, one of which we'll probably talk about later, which is The Thing, and the other is The Shape of Water. The Shape of Water, Guillermo del Toro's take on the creature from the Black Lagoon, is not called a horror movie. It's not called a horror movie at all. It might, thriller, sci-fi, whatever. But
Romance.
Yeah, romance. But I mean, it's his take on that old 1950s and 60s creature feature movie. I'm sure we all have seen too many of. But it's not a horror movie when it wins Best Picture.
Right.
Yeah, like to kind of follow up on that, I mean, we didn't really see any kind of Black or BIPOC-led horror win anything until 2017 with Get Out. I mean, we saw definitely plenty of Black-made horror films. I was looking it up earlier, and I think it's Son of Ingagi. I don't know if you guys have seen it. I have not.
I do not
personally.
know that one. I don't know that one, no.
I would assume Ian has. I don't know.
Nope, that
Maybe.
one has slipped past me. Yeah.
Okay. But I mean, with Jordan Peele, I think thankfully a big light has been shed on all of this because of Jordan Peele, his wins, and some of his movies even commenting on it. So
can I say something about Sinners?
Please.
Sure. So I get why it's being labeled a horror movie, but I still, like, at the end of the day, when I think of Sinners, I just think of how cool that movie's going to be to show to someone down the road who's never seen it before. I just think of it as like a cool, exciting movie. There happens to be vampires in it, but I don't think a moment of it is like scary. But I guess, I'm an adult. Most horror things don't actually scare me, but you know what I mean. I don't think it's trying to be a horror movie, but that's less to the point. I'm stoked that it's nominated and glad people are seeing it. Awesome movie. Loved it.
I do have a different take on that, though.
Go for it.
I'm affiliated with a lot of peace and justice groups, people that really care deeply about racial issues. And so many of these people, because other people have recommended it, have gone in and seen Sinners, and many of them went in cold. They didn't know it was a vampire movie.
Best way to see that movie.
And these are all people that are very kind of anti-violence in media. But even Sinners, even with the vampire and even with the violence that's there, and it is kind of a violent movie, they all sat through it and they all got the point that Coogler was trying to make about the plight of the African American community, especially in that post World War I era, where many soldiers who went and fought and saw the kind of not racism, not that there wasn't any racism, but the kind of not segregation and not Jim Crow laws that were in Europe. And then they came back here after fighting for their country, and it's just like, here's the boot, we're going to put it right back on you. And there was people not wanting to do that.
That's the scary part, right? For as someone who's a person of color, like, that is the scary part of the movie. It might not be a jump scare, it might not be or jump scares, but it might not be the quintessential slasher or building tension, but the tension building is that of assimilation almost.
I want to divert our conversation
All right.
back on track. We're gonna get to Sinners. So we're
Okay.
talking about genre, and so Sam, I think what you just said, like that really is, it's like there's such a gradation or variation, a spectrum of if you will, of what falls under the horror category. And so I definitely think Sinners is a horror movie, but to market it as only a horror movie or to say that it is only horror is for people at the Academy to be able to
Fair.
lessen the value of it, right?
Oh, got it. Okay, that's
And
I don't think
so that's what Coogler was saying, is to describe something as horror is to say that it is less, and that is a problem that the Oscars have had. So
Yeah.
you brought up Get Out, a fantastic example, because I think when we think of horror at the Oscars, we think of the two big ones are Get Out and Silence of the Lambs, which I think most people have kind of in their mind redefined as thriller movies. Do you agree with that, George?
I would say so for yeah, I think that's fair. I think that people would remember that more as a thriller than a horror. But I can see Get Out being classified as either. I don't know. Jordan Peele's work is a little tricky that way.
Exactly, and that's one of his best, artistic qualities, is that he does that kind of genre bend. It all kind of centers around that hesitancy of person, kind of what is that next step in the unknown, and that's kind of what builds that tension. But
Well
it's
said.
a perfect, Jordan is a perfect example of someone who took the genre that they had apparently defined really well of scary or horror, and he adds other elements of other genres, I guess you could say, to make it something more than just what it falls under.
Elevated.
Yeah. And so I would say Silence of the Lambs is still incredibly influential. There is a book coming out, or I think it just came out at the time of recording, that is about the real life history of Dr. Lecter. He has become basically a tulpa. The president of the United States of America referred to him as a real person. So Silence of the Lambs not being the first adaptation of Lecter, but it is kind of the most influential. But it follows more of a true crime kind of story rather than something supernatural, or even like to the bombastic nature of like slasher films. It is a little bit more grounded. Mike, what were you gonna say?
I think actually I was going to say something about the way that the term I think is loaded these days, but the way that genre can often ghettoize and really segregate off something regardless of whatever merit it has. Science fiction, horror, fantasy, they've all suffered from that throughout the decades as not being real fiction or real literature, even though, things like Frankenstein, who we see in the theater this year, is considered a landmark piece of literature, and Dracula also. But it's just, and one of the things, and we were just looking at The Thing with its, I think, what is it, 45th anniversary, that
Yes.
that movie is considered the height of practical effects. And that movie is just considered one of the best horror films ever, horror sci-fis ever. But that year at the Oscars, it got nothing. It didn't even get nominated for anything. It got zero, goose egg.
Yeah.
And I know that goes into snubs in history, but it's just the idea that something that is so highly regarded now
I didn't
was
realize
just ignored.
how frustrated I would be looking into the history of some of these snubs and then realizing what got snubbed this year with Jesse Plemons. We'll get into it, but and then Hereditary and that. But man, these snubs are frustrating me for this episode. I got to be honest.
Yeah. So let's talk about the history of horror at the Oscars. What are the successes? What are the snubs? So we'll just run through because it is a really brief history of successes. The first Oscar win for a horror movie was Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, in which Frederick March won Best Actor. That was very early on. This is a silent film, so that's actually pretty cool. But besides some stuff for sound and makeup effects, there wasn't really anything for a very long time. I will note, because we just brought up Frankenstein, we'll be talking about Frankenstein a lot, and I even have a prediction for next year. But Bride of Frankenstein, 1935, was nominated for Best Sound, and this was one of the first Universal films to have a score and have sound design. If you go back and listen to Dracula, you hear Swan Lake at the beginning. That's basically it. There were just not scores for these films, and so the Bride of Frankenstein really changed that. Notably, Bride of Frankenstein, it was written and directed by James Whale, who was a queer man, and kind of defined all of horror for a very long time. So horror has always been queer. And then yes, and then so the first big one is The Exorcist, which was the first horror film to be nominated for Best Picture. George, you just watched The Exorcist for the first time.
I did.
I want to hear your perspective on the film.
Well, I mean, okay, I've seen it. I know pretty much everything that's in The Exorcist. It's been spoofed to the moon and back my whole life, so there wasn't anything I saw in there that was particularly startling from the horror perspective. But we've been on a big 70s kick lately, late 60s, 70s. We've just been devouring movies of that time, and they just don't make them like they used to. And one thing that really stood out to me was how it ranked among some of the best movies we saw of that era as far as its patience and its cinematography and just showing like real people existing in a real space, you know, that didn't feel all Hollywooded up. And I really appreciated that The Exorcist, it kind of felt like watching Harry and Maude or The Godfather, in that they let these scenes breathe with these people just existing in them. If I had, you know, gotten a babysitter for my kids and gone out to go see a movie in the 70s and thought I was just going to, you know, some horror ghost factory scare fest and saw The Exorcist, I would have been pretty damn impressed as an audience member. So I definitely appreciate it.
Mike, I want to ask you next, what was it like the first time you saw The Exorcist?
I was just thinking about that. My totally irresponsible parents let me see The Exorcist at 12. Okay, I'm a 12-year-old seeing The Exorcist.
That's when I should have seen it. That's really, when it would have got me.
Thanks, parents.
Yeah, I know. It was about the same time that I saw Star Wars, so it was a very influential time for watching movies as a youth. But no, it just really freaked me out. I mean, it was the 70s. It's not easy to totally understand what was going on there, but it's like the religious aspects, the religious overtones were really hitting home, and just the whole, this nice young girl. I think we were talking about this some with The Thing and some with zombie movies. This nice young innocent girl all of a sudden turns into a demon, and you don't know her anymore, and she's doing all of these horrific things, and they used an awful lot of pea soup, and it was just, you know, that it was really freaky to a 12-year-old. But I do know that William Friedkin, who directed that, and so it really kind of made me a big fan of William Friedkin. So it's like even a couple of years after that, when Sorcerer came out, I was just like right there in the theater. So
I think he went by Billy. I could be wrong.
but you know, it's just so it really affected me as a young person, and also just you know, that were very influential early on in the theater. I mean, I saw it on a big screen, not like, you know, even a big screen TV is just not the same as sitting down front in a theater and seeing all of that hit you.
So yeah, and I think The Exorcist, like, there's a lot of cultural context that like we just didn't get to see because we were born after the fact and didn't get to see it until we were like watching like the TV edited version is actually the first time I saw it, which is a completely different experience. But like the rise of the Jesus freaks in the 70s and stuff like that. So there is like a lot of people that were disenfranchised by the hippie movement that were turning back to the Christian church, and then to have William Peter Blatty's book become this massive hit and then have it turn into this movie. There was a lot of that trying to be chased. Yeah, Sam, what was your first experience? It sounds similar to mine.
Yeah, it was TV. It was a piecemeal, so I remember my dad first telling me about how he had seen it also in theaters, and it was probably one of the worst experiences he had ever had because he didn't realize how scary it really was going to be. I think a lot of the takes that people tend to say online is that I watched it and it really is horrifying. Now, George, you've seen plenty of horror movies, so I'm sure you're a little bit more akin to seeing some horrific stuff, but a lot of the research I saw online. So then when I went back to it in later years, I actually watched it for real. I was like, oh, this is completely different than I thought it was.
Right.
And there were definitely, I was just going to say, is like some of the scariest moments are obviously the moments where my dad was like, oh, let's take a break, or let's go to the other room, or don't watch this part. Still, a lot of people found this. A lot of people that I saw, looking at it online, found this really way scarier than they even thought it could have been.
Still, might have been pretty shocking to me. Again, I've just seen it spoofed. I grew up with The Simpsons and everything else in the world spoofing every scene of The Exorcist. So, and then I didn't watch it until I was 36 years old. So that's sort of a interesting way to take in a movie as blind as you can when all of culture is constantly replicating it, I suppose.
You get that cultural osmosis, and it kind of loses its impact because it's been diluted through all of these other things.
And when it sets up those tropes, it's the one that set up the tropes. So then you watch it, and you're like, well, those are just tropes.
Well, that's not how I felt. I knew where it came from, but you see what I'm saying. But I did want to bring up,
totally,
and I think that none of us are probably old enough to maybe comment on this, but I was curious about, you mentioned religion has always, if we go back year by year, it's always really, really more important to American society. So especially back then with The Exorcist, that would have been a big deal. And before that, and I know we're going to get to Rosemary's Baby, but I'd be interested to know what the religious America thought of that ending of that movie. And I haven't really found anything that talks about that or really clamps that down, but I'm very curious about that because, it's got a room full of rich white people shouting "Hail Satan" in the 60s, so I don't know how that came across, but apparently it left a mark.
Yeah, how'd you like that, Mike?
That's a segue. Let's talk about Rosemary's Baby.
I'd love
1968. Yeah, you wanna lead us off on this, George?
Well, it's required viewing, and it's not really scary. At the end, the ending, the implication, it'll stick with you, and the whole concept is pretty terrifying. But point by point, from point A to point B, it's more of like a play or almost like a mystery event, if that makes any sense. It's really interesting, but it's pretty classical cinema, and it's in this really small environment with this small group of characters, and you are constantly guessing what's happening. You assume there's something nefarious, but they manage to twist it around and make you doubt yourself and maybe being paranoid and thinking that it is. But then at the end of the movie, the implications of everything that happened in this little apartment will affect the entire world throughout history in time beyond time. And I just think it is such an incredible story. And if you have not watched Rosemary's Baby, you gotta. And Mia Farrow, just astonishing.
I think I watched Rosemary's Baby first on TV.
Nice.
And I actually found it pretty boring.
I can see that. No, I sat down ready to watch a film, but I could totally see showing someone Rosemary's Baby. Not to cut you off, I totally get it.
Oh, no. But it's like, and of course, from a historical viewpoint, the director of Rosemary's Baby has eclipsed anything that the movie might add to the discussion.
Unfortunately.
But I liked the watching it again later on. I like it a lot better. and it's just the whole. She just is freaking out the whole movie but it's like it ends up being a bit of a slow burn because she just starts acting weird, and they start manipulating her, and it's all just like the audience doesn't know what's going on.
Right, but
And
you know there's something bad's happening, but you're not quite sure what it is.
yeah. So that kind of slow burn, creepy movie, I've gotten a lot more fond of as I've gotten older. So I mean, I can see where the movie would not appeal to really young people that are looking for more jump scares, or even something in the vein of, like, say, Jaws or The Exorcist.
Oh, absolutely. 14-year-old me, all over The Thing. 14-year-old me would not have cared at all about Rosemary's Baby. That was a 35-year-old me experience for sure.
Yeah. So, what was Rosemary's Baby's relationship to the Oscars, George?
All right, so Rosemary's Baby in 1968 received 2 Academy Award nominations and 1 Best Supporting Actress for Ruth Gordon, who I mentioned Harold and Maude earlier in this episode. She is the titular Maude, and she's just great as the nosy neighbor / occult Satanist that we know and love in Rosemary's Baby. And then Roman Polanski was nominated for Best Adapted Screenplay. He did not win. I don't know what won that year. That did win an Oscar in 1968, and that's pretty cool.
I think there might be a repeat of that Best Supporting Actress thing this year, not to bounce too far, but I noticed that Amy Madigan, for her role as
Gladys.
yes,
Yes,
it's just
in Weapons,
it's,
yeah.
that's who I think is actually going to win in that category this year. But it's just the supporting actress, I think, is something. But I don't think Jacob Elordi is going to be able to pull it off for supporting actor.
We're going to get to this year's nominations. So just to wrap up, Rosemary's Baby, yes, it was written in 1967 by Ira Levin, then was directed by, unfortunately, Roman Polanski. There's a lot of cultural context that we could pull from this movie. I recommend going and checking that all out for yourself, because we would be here for another just unpacking all of the Woody Allen, Marilyn, or Manson family-ness of relationship.
Art
to
and the
this
artist. That's another conversation.
Yeah, but Ira Levin's book, I still enjoy that. So it is a very influential movie. So let's jump into some notable snubs. I have a few here. Does anybody have anything they want to add to this list before I start going on my rants about these movies?
As long as we mention Jesse Plemons, man, for this year in Begonia, what a robbery.
I mean, you saw him clapping more than anyone for Michael B. Jordan. The moment Michael B. won that whole thing, because they were on Friday Night Lights together, so they're like really, really good buddies. So either way, either one of them was going to be cheering for the other. But I think Sinners getting the win over. I think Michael B. getting over Jesse Plemons was the right call, at least in my opinion.
That was at the SAG Awards, right?
Oh, that was SAG. Okay. I forget. I didn't watch all the awards, but definitely for the Oscars.
Oscars are this Sunday as of the time of recording. Or no, they're this Sunday as of the time you're listening to this episode.
That's what it is. I was like, I don't hope that.
Well,
happens.
either way, I think Jesse Plemons killed it in Begonia. I'd be remiss if I didn't shout it out on this Oscars episode. He deserved it. Movie rules. Him running across that table like a chimpanzee and tackling her, that was so. I was like, whoa. That was one of many great moments in that movie.
Yep.
Yeah, how did he not even get nominated? That's so wild to me. I just assumed he was because I saw him nominated.
No, he just wasn't
items.
even nominated, and it's crazy that he didn't get the nom. Right? Exactly.
That is
the sound.
That is a snub. Yeah, I totally wholeheartedly agree with you there.
Thank you.
He is
Some of that could
fantastic at playing a creep. That's for sure.
What they wanted, I think they wanted him to be nominated for Best Actor, not Best Supporting.
I think you're absolutely right, and I actually corrected myself in my head, but I didn't want to bedraggle the point. Thank you, Mike. You are correct. I think he would have gotten Best Actor for that role.
But I think the hard part is, it's like whether you're 6 or 600, if you're not in that top 5, you didn't get nominated. And sometimes there's a lot of jockeying around. If you look at the nominees in that category this year, I could kind of see why he might have been just not quite, because I mean, they got Leonardo, they got Timothée Chalamet, you got Ethan Hawke in Blue Moon, which was really kind of a, So there's just a lot of really good actors.
I'm looking at this list, and I agree with pretty much all of it. I haven't seen Blue Moon, but I did watch The Secret Agent. Wagner Moura was so good. But that being said, and I love Leo, I love One Battle After Another, Jesse Plemons did a better job in Begonia than Leonardo DiCaprio did in One Battle After Another. I would easily switch that one out, personally.
They're probably just trying to give Leo his noms later.
Yeah.
Because he only had a chance at one Oscar before. I would say, honestly, coming back to just like really notable snubs.
Yes, let's talk about some other ones.
The only one that I guess I hadn't really known, but Anthony Perkins in Psycho was like considered a really original snub.
That's a really good point. I'm sure they didn't even consider it worthy of being nominated because of its genre.
Exactly. And I mean, this kind of comes back to our genre conversation, but more than anything, I mean, we've seen Psycho. Anthony Perkins was probably one of the best performances we've seen in past, 50, 60, well,
yeah, and we could go on
a whole 60, 70 years.
We can go on a whole conversation about Anthony Perkins and Psycho and with that poor guy, what happened to his career when he got outed. And that comes back to our queer representation in horror and how it's always been there, but, what a shame.
Yeah, it was quite the snub for quite a movie at the time.
And I would just again be remiss if nobody mentioned Toni Collette not getting a nomination for Hereditary.
Don't
Amazing.
Worry. I have the big three at the end here. Okay. So, Mike, do you have anybody you'd like to add?
Well, I mentioned it previously, but just the idea that The Thing was so overshadowed by E.T. and other movies that year, that it didn't even get a best makeup.
Yeah, how did it not get best makeup or effects?
Visual effects? Because those are like the sound, makeup, and effects are like the prizes that they'll give to genre movies, and so that it was just totally shut out is like a horrible snub. But I can definitely see, everyone was riding high on the hopeful Alien, and you had Gandhi that year. I think Gandhi got a lot of awards that year, and so you had a lot of other competition, but just to not even nominate it, just to snub it was just that's
again, it's probably just because of its genre. It wasn't even considered.
Yeah, we're gonna get into some other things about how disrespected that movie was. Here in just a short while, we'll bring that back around. But it is important to call out that right now, if you're listening to this before March 24th in 2026, you can go pre-order The Thing Expanded. There is a link in our description that will take you right there that you can go order the new documentary from the team that brought us In Search of Darkness and Aliens Expanded. It's going to be an extensive 5 hours worth of interviews and behind the scenes featuring John Carpenter and Kurt Russell. And
a few of us are going to talk about it pretty soon here on one of our future episodes.
And also the box art is slick and it'll look great on your shelf.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah, super sweet.
Yeah.
Ian, I have just a couple. Go ahead, Mike.
Well, I was going to go back with Toni Collette, but if you have something else to say.
I was going to talk about a couple more snubs before we get to Ian's. Jeff Goldblum, I'll rattle some off. Jeff Goldblum, The Fly. I mean, it wasn't like one of the best acting performances, but that horror movie is awesome. It's one of the first ones my dad even introduced me to. Cillian Murphy in 28 Days Later. I think there's some people who feel like maybe... I don't know. It was one of the first movies I went out and horror movies that I went out and watched myself and freaked myself out with, and so it holds a very special place in my heart. I also love Cillian Murphy. That guy's awesome.
Brendan Gleeson's also great in that movie. You have to shout him out.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, the fact that there are any amount of snubs there is pretty sad, although plenty of movies at the time. And then, am I correct? And I was a little bit surprised. Did The Lighthouse not get any nominations at all?
Oh, I have no idea.
I don't think Eggers has gotten any nominations for
That's
anything.
crazy to me.
Eggers has never gotten any?
No,
I don't think
The
so.
Lighthouse was nominated for Best Cinematography.
Nice.
Got it.
Okay.
But just not okay. That's at least I was reading and I just talking about actors, and then Jack and Shelley in The Shining.
Yep.
Didn't get a nom. All those are kind of my big rattle offs. I mean, I know Ian, you have kind of the big three to talk about, but like when I read about those they hurt my heart.
Real quick, I do need to say Nosferatu got 4 nominations in 2024.
Okay, good.
Nice.
Yeah,
The Fly
it actually
won
won
Academy
makeup,
Award,
didn't it? Did
The Fly
it
won
win makeup?
All I'm seeing is nominations. I'm not seeing wins, but I'm not really looking at an extensive list. Sorry, guys.
But The Fly did actually win the Academy Award for Best Makeup in '87.
Okay, so it got makeup.
But
Just
he was
wasn't-
saying our boy Goldblum.
No.
Yeah,
no,
I mean,
he's
I understand if he didn't get nominated, but come on, he went through so much. He did so much for that movie. Anyway,
They'll give him an
those are-
honorary
those kind of
Oscar
movies.
someday. He'll accept it in a bathrobe. It'll be awesome.
Yeah, exactly. He'll be like, "What am I doing here? I don't know."
So the first one I want to talk about is Godzilla -1, which it did win Best Effects, but the fact that that's all it was nominated for, Godzilla -1 was the best movie of that year.
I don't
Like-
know about that. I enjoyed it, but I wouldn't
No,
go that far.
I absolutely would. There was not a more emotional, like human-centric, historical. That movie was amazing, and you could have taken Godzilla out of it, and it would have won every single award. But because it was a Godzilla movie, and because it was in Japanese,
Mm-hmm.
it didn't get nominated for more.
I think it's a great sci-fi genre win, as opposed to a horror genre win. But I really love that movie. It's a great movie.
Yeah.
Ian, your barometer for me was you said your partner
Yeah,
actually
Kitchen
watched it
Kitchen.
and cried, and I was like, "Well, I mean, come on." If
Yeah.
your partner, who, by the way, folks, like, no slight to Ian's partner, but they just are not a huge horror person. That's just not who they are. If they can absolutely love a movie and it's Godzilla related, then you all need to go see it.
I
if you haven't
probably
seen
cried
Godzilla
too.
-1.
I cry at everything, so if anyone cried at Godzilla -1, I probably did. I think I'll cry at a commercial, man. I just love to cry watching stuff.
Yeah, and so my next one is Demi Moore for The Substance. This is a performance that should have won Best Actress.
At least it got
this
some
is-
nominations it deserved. At least it wasn't completely snubbed.
But Demi Moore was.
Yes,
I'm not
no, you're
talking
right.
about The Substance. I'm talking about Demi Moore being snubbed for her performance in The Substance, where she should have at least been nominated for, if not Best Actress, Best Supporting Actress, because it was a two-hander for that main role.
She was
But this is the
undeniable.
best- yeah, this is the best adaptation of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde that's ever been put on film. It might go a little long, but I love the absurd ending. If I was to cut anything out, it would be, somewhere in the centerpiece or the beginning of the film, not that crazy end. But Demi Moore's performance absolutely deserved at least a nomination.
She did. I mean, she did get a nom for actress in a leading role. That was just last year.
It wasn't the Oscars best.
I think Demi Moore really, I mean, looking at they gave it to Mikey Madison for Honora, but I really think Demi Moore should have gotten that award. I really loved Honora, but I think that year people I think at the
I
Oscars,
agree.
people kind of get into a I'm voting for this, I'm voting for this, I'm voting for this. They just lump everything onto a movie they liked. And I can see where a lot of people, especially with that over-the-top ending, were just turned off of the movie.
My mom would never watch it. I mean, she was curious, but I knew she wouldn't make it 20 minutes into it.
But I mean, it says so much. And I mean, some of the way that Demi Moore was talking about The Substance when they were promoting it, it says so much about both Hollywood and all of you have seen the
Absolutely.
movie, just Hollywood, and the character that she plays
Mhm.
is so caught up in that role too. That
Mhm.
and just the danger of wanting youth.
To just clarify, Demi Moore did get nominated. I'm saying she should have won.
Oh,
Yes,
I didn't
Oh,
know.
for
I
sure,
thought
for
she didn't
sure.
even get nominated. Okay.
No, she didn't.
Okay. Well, great.
No, she absolutely was nominated, but I do think she should have won. Honora
it.
won like 4 awards, and
Yeah, that's
people are talking about Paul Thomas Anderson getting his lifetime achievement Oscar this year, right, for One Battle After Another.
It's a good
Um,
movie, but I see what
and-
they're saying.
Yeah, but that should have happened for Demi Moore, and I think that was the entire point of The Substance. So good on the Oscars for emphasizing the importance of
Yeah,
the message.
exactly.
of that movie.
I got two
Yeah,
things I
exactly.
want to say about The Substance real quick. That ending, we've mentioned Gwar on this show before, but as a big Gwar fan and someone who's seen them live, that whole ending is just a Gwar live show that's happening at that crowd, and it is awesome. And I was so stoked because I saw Gwar like 2 months before I saw that movie, and I was like right back in that pit.
So yeah, the last big one I want to bring up. There's others that I have beef with. I think Lupita Nyong'o should have been nominated for Us. Playing those two characters was incredible.
Nice.
But the really, really like the big elephant in the room, or the generational trauma of the Oscars in the room, if you will.
All right,
Tony
generational trauma.
Tony Collette's performance in Hereditary.
I feel it in my
Um,
bones, man.
Yeah. George, you had stuff to say about this. Let's start with you.
Okay, and I'll keep it briefer than I normally do. So I was trying to rewatch most of this list, or watch for the first time, and I did not appreciate Hereditary for what it was worth the first time I saw it. I remembered I enjoyed it and whatever. Watched it again, keeping in mind that it had been snubbed, to pay particular attention to Toni Collette's performance. And man, I was just blown out of my socks into the house next door. Like, it was so incredible, and I can't believe she didn't even get a nomination, because it's undeniable. That's the word of the day with a capital U. I think you can say much more than I can, but hell of a movie, hell of a performance.
Sam, what are your thoughts on Toni Collette's performance in Hereditary?
Not much more to say other than what George has. I agree. It was probably one of the biggest snubs of all time. It's just a roller coaster of emotions, and that entire story, like character arc specifically for Tony, is like, it's something that everyone should see, and everyone should understand why we're so upset, bar none. It's required watching.
Yeah, Mike, what about you?
No, I understand that it should have been nominated. I mean, Ari Aster's been snubbed his entire career. There's none of his movies have been nominated for anything like that. It's just, and no, it's not. And I feel like he will probably end up having a movie that hits, because I know that, like, Guillermo del Toro had until The Shape of Water, I don't think he had received any kind of nomination for anything.
Which is crazy after Pan's Labyrinth and all that.
And Hellboy, and just there's but still, it's just, it takes a while, I think, for some artists that are pushing things to really get on the radar in a serious way.
As far as Ari Aster, I was telling people at the time when it was still in theaters, when Midsummer was out, that I was like, I guarantee this is going to get a cinematography nomination. But,
So, yeah, I mean, Toni Collette showed like 500 emotions on her face without ever saying anything in like one scene, looking across from Alexander Wolf that plays her son. Man, it's so incredible that she didn't even get nominated. And also, like, Aster and Del Toro not receiving any nominations until, like, Aster still not received anything, and he has moved away from horror, and I think that is an attempt to try and validate
get
his
some accolades on his
artist
career. Yeah,
I mean, but like, Eddington not receiving any nominations at all either is absolutely absurd. It should have at least gotten a screenplay nomination. Yeah,
I thought Pedro Pascal could have gotten supporting actor for that thing.
I don't think he was really going for an Academy Award when he released Beau is Afraid, though.
No.
I like that. I like that movie, though. That is such a just roller coaster train wreck.
You just reminded me I need to see it. I've been putting it off.
It's only 3 hours long, so I could see where you might.
That's kind of why.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, those are our most notable snubs. Now we've added Ari Aster to the list, but yes, Toni Collette is the big one that I think just everybody agrees with. But all of these movies have the same problem in that they're horror and they are just defined as lesser films. So let's transition from that into, we're going to play a little game before we get into this year's nominations. And I did not prepare anybody for this. So
I'm ready for this.
You're all three on a team, and I have 3 quiz questions for you. And this is our insert fanfare music here. This is the Razzie quiz. All right, we're gonna look at some
I didn't study any Razzies.
Any Razzies. Yeah, I kept watching good movies. Damn it.
Oh no, but these are all great movies that were given Razzies because they're horror movies.
Oh, I'm ready.
There's no chip on your shoulder.
Yeah, so I am going to give you a question, and then I am going to give you 4 multiple choice answers for each of those questions. You are working as a team, so there is no competition here, but we are going to try and see how many of these you all know. So our first question, which movie director was nominated for a Razzie? John Carpenter for The Thing, Stanley Kubrick for The Shining, Stephen King for Maximum Overdrive, or John Landis for The Twilight Zone?
Oh, I know this one. If you guys don't mind me taking it.
Please.
That is John Landis.
That's what I
No,
was gonna guess.
I think it's
You are
actually all of
incorrect.
them.
Whoa, no. Is it all
Is
of
it
them?
all of them?
Nope, it is none of that. There are no trick questions here. There is
Oh.
one answer per category.
Okay, well, I was positive it was Landis. Sorry, guys.
Maximum Overdrive?
Yeah, that would be
I
my
was
next
thinking
guess.
Maximum Overdrive.
No.
Really?
Is it
Really,
The
John
Thing?
Carpenter for The Thing?
Is it the
No,
thing?
it's not.
Oh,
It's
my
not
God.
John Carpenter for
Wow,
The Thing.
wow, that's 3
It
for
is
4, guys. We're killing it.
Stanley Kubrick was nominated for a Razzie for The Shining.
Really?
Also,
Only
Shelley
because of his-
Duvall got a Razzie for Worst Supporting Actress.
Oh,
my
jeez,
God.
after all that torture she went through.
I was gonna
think
say
those
he only got the
nominations
Razzie
might
because he treated him so poorly.
Yeah, remember,
really.
guys,
I
the
think
answer here is the
Stephen
best
King might
movie.
have actually,
You're right,
Stephen King
okay.
might have put them up for those Razzies, though, because he didn't
Oh.
really like The Shining.
Man, that
yeah,
was
when
a
the
I can't believe
the
we got
original
every
creator
answer
doesn't
wrong.
like it. Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Well,
Yep.
let's try that
All right,
again.
so-
I think Maximum Overdrive, though, answers any questions about Stephen King having an opinion on Stephen King movies.
You know, actually, the first half of that movie was shadow directed by George Romero, and the first half of that movie is the better half of it. And also, David Lynch was on set. So, cocaine wearing a Stephen King suit. David
Yeah.
Lynch and George Romero directed that movie.
Okay,
Um,
it sounds like a set that I'd have like a really weird time on, but I kind of want to be there to see it.
It also stars Emilio Estevez, and the supporting actress in Maximum Overdrive
Emilio!
is Lisa Simpson right before she became Lisa Simpson.
Yardley
Wow.
Smith.
Yep. Thank you. All right, so question number 2 on our Razzie quiz. Who was nominated for the worst musical score? A.
John Landis.
John Williams for Jaws. Nope. A. John Williams for Jaws. B. Danny Elfman for Pee-wee's Big Adventure. C. Jerry Goldsmith for Alien. Or D. Ennio Morricone for The Thing.
So it's a good movie.
I
we
think
gotta
people
go- we
made a
gotta
lot
go
of
with
fun of the
good movies.
Jaws theme at the time. Maybe that's
That
one to
seems
consider.
right.
I'm not
I
going to
like
say
that
it with
idea.
such gusto like I did Landis, so I'm going to let someone else
Yeah,
make the call.
let's take a questioning approach. I like that. I also think it would either be. I mean, did people not like how the Jaws dun dun dun? I don't know, Mike. You have any opinions here?
I know Spielberg thought it was a joke.
No, I think I really liked the Jaws theme. That was such
Totally.
an iconic, haunting theme.
Oh,
Well,
absolutely.
we're going Razzies here, baby.
Yeah, we're going the best,
know,
the
that's
best
what I-
movies at the Razzies. I like this quiz.
But I think it might have been The Thing, with Ennio Morricone, who is just I love a lot of the movies that he's done, but it's just I don't know that The Thing has an iconic score.
So I would
But
say,
it's-
Sam, maybe you be our tiebreaker here. I'm gonna vote Jaws. It sounds like he's voting Thing. Do you fall on either side of the aisle?
I think I gotta go with Jaws only because like that soundtrack was so iconic at the time, and if it was iconically bad, I wouldn't be surprised if someone tried to vote for it. For
Sounds
a
good.
Razzie,
I
so
say we go
I'm
for
going
it.
J-Dub.
What is it, Ian?
Mike is correct. It was
Oh!
Ennio
It was The
Morricone and
Thing.
John Carpenter for The Thing.
Snaps.
Wow.
Snaps for you, man.
Yeah. All right, and here is our third and final question on the Razzie quiz. Worst on-screen couple. The first choice is Brad Pitt and Tom Cruise in An Interview with the Vampire. B. Robert Pattinson and Willem Dafoe in The Lighthouse. D.
Couple.
Matthew Lillard and Skeet Ulrich in Scream. And D. Trash and Suicide in Return of the Living Dead.
Oh boy, these are all good.
Worst couple? How what?
I don't get the Lighthouse. I guess they get because they're forced together. But yeah, okay, I see it.
That seems too much.
He
to
lost
me.
it, didn't you?
What was that first one again? That was
Brad Pitt and Tom Cruise with Interview with the Vampire.
yeah, I'm thinking that.
I'm gonna trust Mike's gut. This
Yeah,
time.
either that or Lighthouse, since it's such a weird outlier. But I'll go with Interview.
yeah, that'd be such.
It
a weird
is.
one.
It is neither Interview with the Vampire or The
Of
Lighthouse.
course, it isn't.
Oh,
It is Matthew Lillard
Oh.
and Skeet Ulrich in Scream.
Oh,
I'm
man.
fucking dying
One-
here, man.
You a little woozy here, man.
Oh man. I say that to my partner sometimes. We'll just be walking around the house. We'll like come around a corner. I'll be like, I'm fucking dying here, man.
yeah.
Yep. And that
Unfortunately,
was the
the
Razzie
one that-
quiz.
The one that always comes to me is, oh man, we're goners.
We're goners, man.
Game over, man.
Man, Shaggy was really in a tough spot. Wow.
Like Zoink Scoob.
All right. So now let's talk about the 2026 Oscars. That's
Okay,
what
I wanted to
everybody's-
interrupt before you. I wanted to interrupt before you did it.
Yeah.
Misery, which is, in my mind, actually a much more straightforward horror film than many that have been nominated. And the Academy Award recognized Kathy Bates with Best Actress for that film. So that's not a snub, but I think it's a high point for horror movies at the
Correct.
Oscars.
I do think that's awesome.
Absolutely.
I wanted to say, when we were talking about The Shining, just as a quick Stephen King aside, since he's come up, I think The Shining movie is better than the book. Misery book, better than the movie. What the guy goes through in the Misery movie is like he's on
Wow.
vacation compared to the hell he goes through in the book. So big recommendation there.
Yeah, but the book also has every other chapter where you actually have to read the Misery novel.
Oh,
which
it's not
fucking
every
sucks.
other chapter. It's not every other chapter, but you're right. That part does suck. But what he goes through is
Just read
scarier.
the one
But yes, that's fair enough.
And
Just read the
I,
one or two chapters, right? That's fine.
yeah,
Well, it's
and,
not that
and
bad.
I like the Shining book more than the movie. I'm
Oh,
I'm
I
on
did. I
Stephen
like the
King's
first
side.
half of the Shining book more than it fell apart at the end. Anyway, Doctor Sleep rules. So I'm there with that.
Yeah, Dr. Sleep was a feat, that's for sure. But now let's talk about the 2026 nominations. We're going to focus on the horror stuff because we don't have time to go through every single nomination and talk about every single thing. Excellent year for movies, but we are a horror and Halloween podcast, so we are going to narrow it down to those things and what we're most excited about and who we would pick. So, starting with our first category, I believe this is, yes, Beatrice. We have 2 horror nominations, Madigan and Weapons, and I am going to mess this up, Wunmi Masako in Sinners. Thoughts about these performances and who we might think win.
Give me a second. I'm pulling up all
And
the
you
nominations.
had opinions already.
Yeah, I know. I think I'm thinking this is Amy Madigan's year, not just for this, but I mean, I think there's a little bit of the Lifetime Achievement Award in there too. But I really think that the character of Aunt Gladys in Weapons was just so. I mean, you look at her outside of that role, and it's like, that's not the same actress. What are you talking about? She was just consumed. She just totally consumed herself into the role, and it is just the creepiest, scariest, and then weirdly funniest role this year. It's just because I mean it is over the top, and so that's where you get the kind of horror comedy aspect. But to a certain extent,
That
she
makeup
was
is
just
so good.
in that movie.
Yeah, that
especially-
makeup, that short, that those bangs.
Yeah.
I don't, I still need to see Sentimental Value. We're not going to talk about that one now, but I've seen all the other movies, and it seems like they're putting Teyana Taylor on the like a pre-Oscars winning tour right now to like celebrate the win she's going to get. So I bet it goes to her, but that would be pretty cool if Amy Madigan won it. I just, I don't know.
Also, Wunmi Mosaku was just absolutely fantastic. I mean, like the ideas of love and changing, and especially being so connected to the main character Michael B. played. And
I saw it 3 times in theaters, so
Nice.
you
I've
know,
only
I
seen it once
remember
so far,
everyone.
streaming at home. I need to see it again.
Yeah,
so-
but I also think this is going to Amy Madigan out of the movies I've seen. I think Weapons is amazing. I will call out that I think it's a bummer that they're making a prequel movie about Aunt Gladys. I think the mystery of her existing is so much more interesting.
Than seeing the
I
actual
have-
story.
Yeah, I've been on record many times saying that there are two good Halloween movies and only one of them has Michael Myers in it, and that is because they just start to explain too much, and it stops being scary. I absolutely love Weapons. If you watch the Halloween Horror Hour season 3, every filmmaker I interviewed said that Weapons was their favorite movie of the year, and while it was the most fun time I had at the movies of the year because I got to see this with a big group of people and we were all dying laughing at everything. So let's head over to our next category, which is Best Makeup and Hair. We again have 2 nominations within horror. The first is Frankenstein, which will come up a lot, and the second is Ugly Stepsister. Anyone seen these
I
movies?
loved Ugly Stepsister. I saw Frankenstein. I saw both, but I loved Ugly Stepsister. I bet Frankenstein wins it, but that movie needs more love than it's getting.
I haven't seen either one of those. And I'm kicking myself for not watching a Del Toro movie that's basically been free since it came out.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mike?
Well, looking at the thing, there is Frankenstein and there is Ugly Stepsister, but Sinners is actually also nominated in this category.
Oh, is it?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, and so I
Then
feel
I missed
like
that.
either Frankenstein or Sinners is going to win it, just because I think it's but I wouldn't be surprised if they gave it to Sinners, because it's kind of, I expect one battle after another to just really beat it in almost every
Yeah.
category that they're up against each other. And so this is one category they're not. But Ugly Stepsister, I have not seen the whole movie, but from what I've seen of the previews, it has some very interesting makeup and hairstyling.
It's body horror, is where
Yeah,
it's probably getting those awards. And again, a big recommendation if you guys haven't watched The Ugly Stepsister.
Yeah,
But
it's a fantastic movie. It covers a lot of the same themes as The Substance, and they kind of came out around the same time. Just Ugly Stepsister was a little bit later, but it is a story told from the perspective of one of Cinderella's stepsisters, and she's, trying to live up to the beauty standards of the time. So she's going
Well,
through all these body modifications in
well,
order
if you
Yeah.
be as
go back
pretty
to
as
the
Cinderella.
original story that it was based on, they do actually cut off parts of their feet, and they do make themselves over in a very body horror way to try and convince the prince that they are Cinderella.
Yeah.
It's
Absolutely.
And
I
I'm-
think any of these 3 that win this category are deserving of it, but I think The Ugly Stepsister is the most horrific of these movies and
Yeah.
uses makeup and effects to the greatest effect of these 3 movies.
It kind of reminds me a little bit of what they did in Misery when she smashes that guy's leg with the sledgehammer in that movie. Sort of that same level of like shock of like, oh my God, I can't believe they just did that. I'm looking at this list and I see The Smashing Machine is on here. Great movie, but it doesn't hold a candle to Sinners, Frankenstein, or The Ugly Stepsister when it comes to makeup effects. Like they just gave The Rock a weird jaw, but great movie.
Yeah. I think it's actually the Academy's way of like making fun of The Rock by only nominating this for best makeup.
He should have. I would not have been upset if he got nominated for Best Actor for that movie. By the way, that is no joke. The Smashing Machine was great.
I think if he was ever going to get nominated for Best Actor, it was going to be this movie, but I do not think The Smashing Machine was great.
Okay.
Okay, let's hop on to our next category then. Best Score. I only have one clocked here. It's Sinners. Were any other horror movies nominated for Best Score? I don't
Begonia
think-
and Frankenstein both were nominated.
Oh, they're both
Yeah,
in
that
this
makes sense.
category too. Okay,
Yeah.
I can see Frankenstein
Okay.
winning both of those. Honestly, the makeup and the sound or score.
There's no
I mean.
way. There's
Oh, this
no way
music
Sinners
score.
is getting beat. Yeah.
Yeah,
For Sinners, I
so
forgot
hard.
about Sinners. Of course, yeah.
But
Duh.
what's your second? Is it Begonia or Frankenstein?
I mean, I can't remember the score to either. But I would imagine that Frankenstein had a more sweep. Like I feel like you could go and watch either one of them in theaters with an orchestral suite accompanying it. But I bet Frankenstein would probably bring the house down a little harder than Begonia's. But if I had to choose what movie to watch again, Begonia.
Oh, fair. Yeah, I mean, Sinners even had one of its own original songs nominated. It's the only one.
Yeah, no, Sinners. Nothing beats Sinners in this category. I think it's silly
It
to
was
even
so
compete.
good. It just, as Ian has mentioned time and time again, and I'm sure he'll go in, but it is a musical.
Yeah, and Mike, what were your opinions on Best Score?
I think it's likely that Sinners is going to win this just because It is a musical. It is music. But I really did like the Frankenstein score. But it's hard to. I mean, there are so many, like say, Hamnet and One Battle are the non-horror entries here, and so it's really hard to say exactly who's going to win. But if I had to throw it, I would probably not throw it to Sinners. I would probably throw it to Frankenstein or Begonia.
Interesting.
And I have seen all of these movies.
Oh, I'm seeing Hamnet right when we're done with this. I'll let you guys know.
Yeah, Sinners is like the score is amazing. It is a diegetic musical. There are very few musicals that I will put up with. There are now 4, and 2 of them have come out in the last 2 years. 28 years later, The Bone Temple, Sinners, The Wicker Man, and Nightmare Before
Bone
Christmas.
Temple's a musical.
Bone Temple is a diegetic musical, yes.
If anyone actually likes musicals, I would love to hear your opinion on whether or not Bone Temple is actually a musical. Or not.
La La Land's one of my favorite movies. I'll give you, and I'm waiting to see Bone Temple. I'll let you know.
There we go. All right. We got some actual musical lovers on the call,
Yeah. You guys can do a musical episode another time.
I'm good.
Next, we're going to Best Adapted Screenplay, and here we have Begonia and Frankenstein.
Oh, this is like one of the hardest categories this year.
Yeah,
I didn't realize Begonia was adapted.
I don't think
it's a remake. It's a remake of a 2005 Korean movie called Save the Green Planet.
Oh, I've heard that. That's right.
I feel like Begonia takes it, at least between these two, it takes it, but it's probably going to end up being one battle after another, to be honest.
I actually think they're going to go to Hamnet.
Really? Okay.
I think
Chloe Zhao.
Hamnet, but...
So I'm like I said, I'm about to watch Hamnet. I haven't seen it yet, but I will say that Train Dreams was pretty beautiful. I think it has a good shot. I think this whole list is great here, honestly. I'm happy with any of these winners.
I was underwhelmed by Train Dreams.
Train Dreams is a Washington film, so there are a lot of local filmmakers that worked on it that
not only shot here, but supported by our very local own Washington Filmworks.
Did not know that, but let's shout them out.
Yep. WA Filmworks was the backer on this, and it was a lot of Spokane filmmakers.
But yeah, it's probably going to go to one battle.
See it nominated for so many things. I think its best spot is cinematography. But of our horror screenplays, Begonia and Frankenstein, does anybody have anything else they'd like to add about those? I'd like to have a conversation about the end of Begonia.
Yeah.
Because I think I interpreted it in a way that made me simultaneously like it more, but is different than everyone else interpreting the end of that film.
So that should imply to anyone listening, if you haven't seen Begonia, just skip ahead like a minute or two. Yeah, but so I thought the ending was pretty obvious. What was your interpretation of the ending?
She gets hit in the head and she's in a concussion the entire time. She never actually is an alien. She is just experiencing head trauma.
Well, without say. I like that idea, but the idea that's very what was that Schwarzenegger film made off of Philip Dick's
Total
story?
Recall.
Total Recall.
That's very Total Recall. But and I think really I looked at it as more like Cabin in the Woods.
Yeah, that's kind of what I saw too. I kept rooting the whole time, like, I hope he's right. And maybe that was my inherent bias in the end, instead of assuming a head injury where I was just like, they were right about everything, the hair and all of it.
No, see, Jesse Plemons is just so creepy. I'm like, there's no way this guy is right. So when she starts dreaming that she is just in the back of an ambulance and has had a decapitated, exploded head.
Except, have you ever been right about something and nobody believes you? Like, how insane that would drive you? And if you were right about something on this level that he was, I would probably go bananas if I knew it was true. And so I kind of get that, but I'm a little neurotic myself, so maybe I was just seeing myself in Plemons.
I'm totally not surprised, though, because having heard your headcanon around the Toadies Possum Kingdom, it totally makes sense that you would have that kind of headcanon going.
Yep.
And you have to go back and listen to one of the other podcasts to hear what his thoughts are on that.
Yeah, exactly. That is on Sam's Jams,
Sam's
either
Jams.
episode 1 or 2. But listen to
Sam's Jams.
Yeah. And then, how do we feel about the changes made to the Frankenstein story for Guillermo del Toro's version, which was much more focused on the doctor rather than the monster?
I was going to ask, just as someone who hasn't seen it yet, which, again, kicking myself, what are 2 or 3 of the main changes?
Well, Christoph Waltz's character is not in the novel at all.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah,
Yep.
and they changed a lot. I mean, if you want to see something that's really true to the Frankenstein novel, you have to watch the Kenneth Branagh version.
Yep.
But and so I
Um,
liked the way that he did it, and I liked the way that and there were actually some Frankenstein scholars that were saying that the way Del Toro changed it, he kept the spirit of the story alive more. And I know that Del Toro, he was strongly influenced by both the novel, but also the 1930s movie, and also the Bernie Wrightson illustrations, which that the idea that he was bringing those to life was just getting right to my comic book geek soul.
Yeah,
Love
and
Bernie
we'll talk about production design here in just a bit, but as far as the changes to the screenplay, the changes with Elizabeth and the wedding and that kind of stuff, I think it was all really good. Like, I've seen other versions of Frankenstein. I will come out like very straightforward and say that The Bride of Frankenstein 1935 is still my favorite Frankenstein. I think Boris Karloff in that, big green paint with the big forehead is that's still my Frankenstein's monster. But I think the changes made here and Oscar Isaac's performance as the Doctor were absolutely fantastic.
See, the thing is, I remember, because I appear to be old as dirt now. I remember this 1973 British made-for-television film called Frankenstein: A True Story. If you guys have a chance to watch it, I think it's available somewhere. If you have a chance to watch it, you should. This had, and it encompassed, they did the whole book. They did Frankenstein and they did Bride of Frankenstein. They did the whole thing. And they did make some changes. It's not exactly the novel, but you had, Jane Seymour as the Bride of Frankenstein. You had Michael Sarrazin as the creature. It's just this very 70s kind of feel. James Mason was in it. It's just that, but it's like
Yeah,
those are the images of Frankenstein that live rent free in my head all the time. And so
yep,
it's like I have to point you all back to this old television movie, but it's just like
great.
Del Toro, though, for me, now lives rent free in my head in a lot of those spaces. So it's really just that kind of affecting update. I mean, the Elordi monster. I mean, this basically, tall, beautiful young man who is disfigured by the makeup, which I think definitely will give them an edge, possibly on that category. But just the way, and Mia Goth, and just and the bringing really to the forefront more than the novel, the whole kind of father thing, and they did that in the Hulk. They did that in a lot of other movies where the whole conflict between son and father and wanting to save his mother and conquering death to save his mother. That is just a classic ultimate, story.
As far as the
To me.
makeup work on Frankenstein there, when you mention Elordi, I'm a big fan of that show Euphoria, which is kind of where he broke out on, and I could not believe that was Jacob Elordi when I read the credits that he was Frankenstein's monster. So credit where credit's due. I never would have guessed in 1,000 years that was him.
Yeah. Well, and we have a couple of categories here that only have one horror movie in them, so I'm just going to run through them real fast, and then we can jump into Best Supporting Actor and actually talk about Elordi. Best Original Screenplay, the only horror movie is Sinners. Best Casting, only horror movie is Sinners with Francine Maisler. And then I haven't seen it. I don't think it's actually a horror movie, but Best Animated Feature, K-Pop Demon Hunters. It had been
Awesome movie.
recommended to me a lot. Yeah. And I know
Mike
I don't
wasn't into it. I
anticipate
think
it,
it's
so I'm
wonderful.
probably just not going to care about it as much.
I bet
it
Ian.
also
I
was
bet Ian. I don't think you'll like it.
yeah, and
Now,
I
the thing is, though, since Ian has seen a lot of anime, I assume you've seen a lot of anime. I've seen a lot of
No,
Oh
anime.
yeah,
actually-
I've seen
No,
mountains
he
of
was
it
not.
myself.
I have not.
I
I
found
have
the
seen
plot
like
to be
5 anime, Mike. I have
Okay.
seen.
I'm the
seen
anime
Persona
guy,
2,
Mike.
I've seen Akira, and I've seen
Oh, well.
Cowboy Bebop.
I've
That's
seen
it.
and I've
everything.
seen a ton. I've seen a ton of anime, and I found the script to be very derivative. I really didn't like that they didn't do any kind of backstory around the parents and why the mom. It's spoiler area if I go any further than that. But it's just the whole character development and story I thought really didn't live up to some of the other movies that are on the list for animated. But this
That's fair.
is the year. This is the year of K-pop Demon Hunters. I think it's going to take every category it's in, which I think is 2.
I don't know if well, maybe Golden will beat Sinners, but I would find that atrocious if Golden beat I
Uh,
Lied to You, which is best original song, but I know Golden is getting a lot more playtime because people of a younger persuasion listen to the same
So
thing over and over again.
last thing I'll say about K-pop Demon Hunters, I found it it's not for us, Mike, Ian, all of us here. It wasn't made for us, but I still thought that it was a really cool entry into the space of that kind of movie kids are going to watch 100 times, and I think that that's one of the cooler options, and I just found the movie delightful in general. That being said, it's probably going to win, but as, an adult with taste who, recognizes quality, I sure would like it to be that one from Sinners because damn.
Yeah. So let's talk about Best Supporting Actor. And in sake of time, I am gonna skip a couple of these categories because we're getting a little long here, but we are going to talk about the big ones here. So let's talk about Best Supporting Actor. Any more thoughts on Jacob Elordi?
No, I'm looking at the list here. My only thought is that I as much as I like Benicio del Toro, I don't know why he was nominated for One Battle After Another. He's in like 2 minutes of it.
Yeah, and I do want to just stick to the horror movies. So we got Delroy Lindo, Sinners here, and Jacob Elordi in Frankenstein. Any thoughts on either of their performances? I really like Delroy. I really like Elordi. I think they both did a fantastic job.
Of the 2, I would give it to Elordi because I really liked the way he played the monster. He was just the monster in this movie was so different than a lot of your Frankenstein monsters, and just the way he played the monster as a real counterpoint to the doctor. I would give it to Elordi of the 2 that are here.
And I thought the
knowing
monster
full well that this is the year of Sean Penn.
I thought the monster was undeniable on screen anytime, the monster was in Frankenstein, of course. So I would concur with that.
I am going to lump a few things together here, and we can because they're all kind of a little bit of overlap. We've got Best Visual Effects, Best Costume Design, and Best Production Design. Respectfully, Frankenstein and Sinners are in all of those categories except for Best Visual Effects, where Sinners is joined by Jurassic World Rebirth.
World.
That's so anything to say about production design, costume design, and that kind of thing for Sinners and Frankenstein that we haven't already said?
I'll jump in quickly for Sinners here as someone who regularly designs our production. It was fascinating to me how many different locations they did, how much they made it truly feel like the dramaturgy that went into this was obviously like a lot of deep research, and the work that goes. If anyone listening has ever made a film, I know the 4 of us have definitely made shows and films together. It's easy to show up to set and say your lines and be behind the camera. Everything else that goes behind it, the planning, all the intricacies of everything going on is so difficult. And the fact that they had, entire train stations of people showing up and walking through, I would just say like production design specifically, I was really impressed by Sinners.
Well, and Coogler has somebody on set that knows the ins and out of everything. Like when they film Creed, he basically lived in Philadelphia. He knew the side roads. He knew which routes you would take. He knew how long it would take to get from place to place. And if he doesn't have the answer, he has someone that is very well researched on set, doing locations, production design, costume, that kind of stuff. So he knows it.
A little harder when we all wear 5 hats, but yeah.
Well, and our budgets compared to a Ryan Coogler budget are quite a bit different.
Speaking of Coogler and costuming and Michael B. Jordan, the Sinners of all of it, I just want a fun little bit of movie trivia is that on Black Panther, he designed Michael B. Jordan's outfit to match Vegeta from Dragon Ball. So that's a fun little fact for y'all.
Nice.
Yeah, on these categories where Sinners is not up against One Battle, I think they're probably the favorite, although Jurassic World might snatch visual effects just because people are saying, ooh, but it's just on production design. Guillermo del Toro spends so much time and has such a singular vision of the production design. You can see that on every one of his movies, even ones that most people aren't that favorable to, like Crimson Peak. His production design is just on point for the film. I feel like Frankenstein should win that but I feel like Sinners might win it just because.
For the castle alone, I feel like Frankenstein should take production design, but Sinners take all the other categories here.
It's kind
but
of how
yeah,
I'm feeling about production design. I'm betting Frankenstein takes it.
Yeah, it's just such a beautiful movie to look at. All the settings, but I call out the castle, but like the boat in the Arctic, like that's all incredible. That like it's all so amazing to look at. So really appreciate that. All right, let's jump into our I would call this our big four categories, right? We got best cinematography. Frankenstein and Sinners both nominated there again. Any other things to add about the cinematography?
I think that Sinners is probably going to get this of the two just because of dealing with Michael B. Jordan and the dual role, and especially
that's what you mean by dealing with. I was like, dealing with.
What do you think about the winner between the two, Mike? Like in your mind, in your own mind, do you like Frankenstein's cinematography? I haven't seen Frankenstein yet. Did you like Frankenstein's more or Sinners more?
As someone who gets behind the camera every now and then, and I'm not saying I'm great or anything.
Yeah.
Knowing what they had to go through to get Sinners to look the way it did is just an achievement.
Totally.
So I would probably give it to Sinners, even though I do love the way Frankenstein looks.
There's also just the one rig that they had to build to film that one scene could take cinematography home by itself.
Which, isn't it cool? When we talk about Sinners, I'm assuming you mean when you say that one scene, is that anyone who's seen it knows what scene you mean. And isn't that cool to make a movie that has that scene and everyone knows what you mean?
Absolutely.
I wouldn't be surprised if Frankenstein takes it, but I can appreciate it at a craftsman level. You know, again, like I've never really made what you guys have made, but it seems like that's a lot of work. But making any of these movies would be. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Train Dreams takes it. Need to see Marty Supreme, but between the two, I wouldn't be surprised if Frankenstein takes it in the end.
And to a certain extent, I'd like it if Sinners would get it, just because I think it would be the first time a woman wins Best Cinematography.
No kidding.
Wow. All right. That is an interesting conversation. I think Train Dreams also has a nomination there, and I think if it was going to take any category, I think it might be that one. But let's get into our next one. Let's go with Best Actor. Our only nomination here is Michael B. Jordan in Sinners for his two roles. The other ones he's up against are all non-horror, but include Ethan Hawke, Leonardo DiCaprio, Timothée Chalamet, and Wagner Moura. Any thoughts on this category?
Yeah.
Sam?
Yeah,
we start with you.
I mean, I'm partial. I was really blown away by Sinners. I don't know what else to say. I thought all the performance in it were fantastic, and just in general, the directing of it was really like it's hard to say much else than we've already said. I'm very partial to it.
Yep, and Michael B. Jordan played two very distinct brothers in Smoke and Stack.
That's a good point. Like, he was completely different characters, and they started out from the beginning of the movie. One is ruthless, one's trying to make money. You know, he's there to... Well, I guess they're both ruthless, but the one that shoots a person is also capable of love, and the other one who's coming in trying to make the money is also like trying to create community. It's an odd juxtaposition.
They were both actual characters, and sometimes when you watch a performance like that, you think like, oh, this was Michael B. Jordan as this guy, this is him as this guy, but I completely...
And they're both just Michael B. Jordan.
Yeah, and I completely forgot that it was like the same actor at a certain point. You're like, this is this character's intention, this is this character's intention, and then, they do what they do, and I thought that came off really well.
And the button at the end of the movie kind of accentuates that too, right?
Yeah. That being said, I would totally knock Leonardo DiCaprio off this list and put Jesse Plemons on there.
Fair.
I like it. Oh, Mike, you had thoughts there.
Yeah, I have thoughts. I think that Michael B. Jordan might take this, but I do think that Leonardo DiCaprio might take it. The thing that I've been hearing a lot about Timothée Chalamet's Marty Supreme, but I've also, just from what I've seen, I have not seen the movie yet, but from the scenes I've seen, Ethan Hawke, the way he changes himself 100% to play Lorenz Hart in Blue Moon is just, that's the kind of transformation. If you've seen Ethan Hawke in a variety of films, you know that he has a broad range.
His nomination is the biggest reason I want to see that movie. I'm not a huge Linklater guy, but I hear he's just great in this.
He's so good.
I
I feel like he's having kind of like a resurgence lately too. Like he's just only been doing good things. So I'll have to see it.
And so I'm really up in the. I think I know who'll get it just because of the way voting is going, but that would probably be the one that I would say might
Poor Wagner
deserve it more. But
Yeah.
All right, let's jump on over to our next category, Best Actress, where we have Rose Byrne, If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You, which I included here is not actually much of a horror movie.
It's
but,
weird enough to get in there.
It's definitely thriller-esque, and Emma Stone for Begonia. I think I know what George's pick is, so let's start with him.
No, I actually don't have a big impression. I'm going to watch Hamnet after this. I have a feeling that it might be Jessie Buckley, and I've never even heard of this Kate Hudson movie that she's nominated for. But I love me some Emma Stone, but I think she did a perfectly fine job. But I don't know if I'd nominate her for Best Actress of the Year for it. Fine movie, fine performance.
I thought your love of Begonia would just carry you there.
Oh no, sorry.
I assume so.
No, I did love Begonia, but yeah, it'd be cool if Rose Byrne won, but I don't think it's going to her. That's about all my thoughts I have on Best Actress this year. Sorry, guys.
Well, good.
I'm a big fan of Emma, so I hope she wins it.
Well, I hope she does too.
Yeah.
I don't
Haven't
like
seen
any other.
Begonia.
I don't think
I
Emma
mean,
Stone's gonna win it.
Kate Hudson's great. I haven't seen Song Song Blue. I don't know if I've seen any performance by her that's like Oscar worthy. I haven't seen Hamnet, so I don't know about Jessie's performance. Also hadn't seen If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You. But Rose Byrne's great. But Emma Stone, I think, is one of the better actors in our current generation.
All right.
Let's see.
Yeah.
I've seen Begonia and Sentimental Value and Hamnet. And I think Jessie Buckley's going to win it because she's been winning a lot of the other awards. And if you want to see Jessie Buckley, all you have to do is go out now and just see The Bride. But
Fantastic.
I think she's going to win it over Emma Stone. I really loved Emma Stone's character in Begonia. And in a different year, I think she would take it. Renata Reinsvik, it's all like Swedish, Norwegian kind of thing. But it's and really the thing is, though, Stellan Skarsgård, who we all remember as the Baron Harkonnen, did a great job and is nominated for Best Supporting Actor, but I don't think he'll win. And I don't think that she'll win for Sentimental Value, but it's really a good movie.
It's on my list. I'm going to watch the second we stop recording. I'm going to watch Hamnet, but then I'm going to watch Sentimental Value after that.
But I think it's going to be the year of Hamnet, although I do think that Emma Stone had a very, very strong performance. I do love the title of If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You.
Oh, yeah.
It's a stressful movie. It is not,
And a dramatic performance for Conan O'Brien.
Yeah, from the things I've read, I don't want to be that anxiety driven.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that's about all I have to say.
Next up is Best Director for horror movies. Ryan Coogler was nominated for Sinners, but I think we're all kind of in agreement that Paul Thomas Anderson is getting this as his Lifetime Achievement Award.
Probably.
That he probably should have won for a past movie, but one
There
Battle
Will Be
After
Blood.
Another
He should have won for.
going
That
to-
movie is astonishing.
Yeah.
And I will say Josh Safdie put up a great effort. I think the general consensus is that he's probably the better of the two Safdie brothers at the moment, at least in the things he's created. Ben has been kind of fallen off.
Yeah,
but,
I only just learned about the whole Safdie brothers relationship and rivalry and all that. It's an interesting tale.
Like good, bad,
and there's many years ahead for them.
But I will say, like, Marty Supreme could be a consideration. Probably not over One Battle. And probably, actually, personally, not over Sinners, that's for sure.
I think it's really between One Battle and Sinners.
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't seen Marty Supreme yet, so I've seen all of the other movies, and they're all very well directed. And I really like Chloe Zhao with some of the stuff that she's done. I mean, I liked Nomadland better than the Marvel movie she did.
She did Nomadland. That's cool.
But I really think it's between Paul Thomas Anderson and Ryan Coogler, and I think they're going to give it to Paul Thomas Anderson.
Probably.
Yeah.
Because Coogler already has one for Black Panther.
Oh, that's right.
Fair.
Yep.
All right, Ian, bring us home.
Yeah, bring us home.
Our last
buddy.
one is for Best Picture. Frankenstein,
F1.
Sinners.
No, sorry.
all the same things.
That's
I think a lot of people are saying it's going to be One Battle After Another. I think that Paul Thomas Anderson is going to get his Best Director award, but I think that Best Picture still has a chance of going somewhere else, and my preference would be towards Sinners. honestly, if this was just the Halloween Horror Awards, it would be going
Sinners.
to bring her back.
Oh man.
Yeah, there you go.
And-
There you go.
Well, I mean, to be fair,
You may
Bring
need
Her
to
Back
have
is amazing,
You may
but
need to have a Halloween Horror Award.
oh man,
Yeah,
I gotta
we
say
will.
it's between Sinners and Begonia, and of the ones I've seen, and that's just not being a horror biased. I mean, it just all these best pictures. Every category is just stacked with great options. I really enjoyed The Secret Agent. I don't think it's gonna win, but I do recommend checking that one out. It's on Hulu.
No, I recommend checking it out too, but I don't think it's going to win.
No.
I've seen all but two. I have not seen F1 and I have not seen Marty Supreme. And F1 is in here because, and this is the sole reason why there are 10 films on this list, because nobody was paying attention to the Oscars if there weren't any big budget winners. And so they expanded the list. So F1 is only on this list because it made a lot of money.
I mean, some of the shots are really cool. The way they shoot the racing. I mean, it does some really exciting things film-wise, but I mean, I'd watch Begonia again before I watch F1 again, for sure. And Sinners, and One Battle, and yeah.
I'm an
Well,
F1 fan, and even I've watched the first 20 minutes. I was like, all right, I'll keep watching later.
One Battle, I think, is going to win this. I think it could go to Sinners. I think there might be a real upset and have it go to Hamnet, but I really think One Battle, it's the year of One Battle.
I'm sure One Battle's going to take the major ones, yeah.
So if One Battle is gone, is it Sinners or Frankenstein? Is there a world that Frankenstein wins this?
No, I think Frankenstein's probably...
It's just not good
Only
enough.
in my head would Frankenstein win over Sinners.
Yeah.
Because, I liked it better.
Train Dreams is up there. That would be really fucking cool to have a Washington-made...
All right, folks. Well, that has been our coverage of...
Actually, Ian, I have two small things. One small thing. Okay, one small thing. I actually have seen all of the short films that are up this year.
Yeah.
I don't think I've seen a
live-action
single
short
one.
films, the animated short films, and the documentary short films. And I'll tell you what, if you want horribly depressing films, watch any of the documentary shorts or documentary features this year. They're all kind of depressing.
I freaking love being sad.
But the live action shorts, okay, I'm gonna point to a couple here. Butcher's Stain, which I think will probably win, has a horror title, but it's not a horror film. It involves Israeli-Palestinian tensions. Jane Austen's period drama, which is a hilarious, uproarious comedy, but it's probably the bloodiest of them, and you can probably guess from the title where that comes from.
Yikes.
But the film I think everyone who would listen to this podcast should go and see is Two People Exchanging Saliva.
That caught my eye. That's for sure.
Now, you can go to the New Yorker website and see the film for free on there. In fact, you can actually see most of these streaming. But if you have the right streaming channels. But Two People Exchanging Saliva is a dystopian future that has two notable elements. One, people pay for things with small acts of violence, mainly slapping. And so if you wanted to buy something at a ritzy store, you might have to get slapped 20 or 30 times. And two, kissing specifically is forbidden. Even the word kissing is forbidden, which is why Two People Exchanging Saliva is how they refer to it. And it's so, even in private, even behind closed doors, it is totally forbidden with dire consequences.
Well, I definitely appreciate the heads up.
So everyone should watch that. It's the closest thing to a horror movie in any of the short films. And I don't think it'll win. I'd be surprised I would love it if it would win, but I think it'll probably go to Butcher's Stain or maybe A Friend of Dorothy.
All right.
Which has Miriam Margolyes in it, which you should all go see that too.
And with that concludes our coverage of horror at the Oscars. This has been the Halloween Horror Pod, an extension of the Halloween Horror Hour, a television show that you can watch on Tubi, Plex, Roku, and YouTube. Thank you for joining us. Make sure to rate and review, and if you'd like to support the show, you can head on over to Patreon and join the Graveyard Gang at the Halloween Horror Hour Patreon, where you get exclusive watch-alongs, bonus episodes, and even more content and cool accessories and that kind of stuff. So thank you for joining us for the Halloween Horror Pod.
Thank you all.